Thank you for letting me be myself again. Sly and the Family Stone, featuring the great Larry Graham on bass, who single-handedly with this one song invented an entirely new style of bass playing. Let's take a look at it today. So the style is called slapping on the bass, and you know, in popular culture, non-musicians, non-bass players will often use the phrase slapping the bass. I don't think a lot of people know what that means. It's not a term for just, you know, average bass playing where you pluck with your fingers or anything. No, it's a thing you do with your thumb, and you strike the strings like this. That's slapping. That's the slapping part of it. Okay. Then there's another part of it. It's called popping, where you pull the string. So slapping and popping is all in the same style. You know, that kind of sound. Larry Graham was the inventor of this style on the electric bass. So, very simple line. What key are we in? Sort of E, but what is it? E major, E minor? Well, when you have like a kind of funk jam, you know, that's based around E, it could be all of those things, right? You could think of it as E mixolydian. You've got those notes in there. You could think of it as E Dorian. Got all those notes in there. You could even think of it as E minor, but you wouldn't necessarily put that C note in it. You could definitely think of it as the blues scale. You know, so it's a combination of all those things. And you know, the guitar harmony kind of gives it away. It's a E7 sharp 9, and that's a common chord to jam on in like a funk, you know, kind of session, because that lends itself to using all those scales, you know, interchangeably in all those note choices. What Larry Graham plays is very simple. It's B, D, E. So we got the 5th, the 7th, and the root. Octave, 7, octave. Now, the key, one of the keys, I think, to making this song successful and like a catchy riff is the call and response that he plays in the bass line. Let me explain. Here's the call. Here's the answer. See that? Like, if he just did it twice, it's like it's open-ended. You know, it's like the conversation's still going. But that, he just put like a period at the end of the sentence. You see what I'm saying? Now, so that's the phrase, right? It's that two little parts. Now he's going to do it again, but this time, that, with the low E like that, it gives it a real kick on the bottom to make the whole phrase, you know, finished. So, all together. And that's it. And I mean, that riff was so good, they built the whole song around it, you know. And the interplay between, you know, the bass, drums, the guitars, the horns, the vocals, you know, it all just gives it that vibe and everything. But it wouldn't be the same without that bass line, okay? So it's really, it's the song that started that style. And, you know, it became, then through the 70s, you know, so many players picked up on the style, and it made its way into all kinds of styles of music. You know, it wasn't just funk. You know, it made its way into jazz fusion, particularly. And, you know, there's so many amazing bass players that play this style these days. Marcus Miller is, I think, my favorite. Then you have guys like Victor Wooten. I mean, his technique is just unbelievable. You know, the slap bass style, to me, it's all about the percussion element of it, percussive, you know, approach. You know, because that's why I said before about the harmony. You know, it's E minor, E Dorian, E Mixolydian. It could be all those things, right? But one of the things is muted notes. That's really an overlooked part of the slap technique, I think. See how I'm just... And especially, like, if I was just doing this by myself. But, you know, even if you're playing with a drummer. Now, sometimes you may not necessarily hear all those little things with drums going behind you. But it doesn't matter, because it'll help you to lock into the groove. You don't have to play that way. In fact, if you do it too much, it could be distracting. For example, there's no muted notes in that line, right? And there didn't need to be. But, you know, if I added some muted notes to it, you know, something like that. Sounds okay, but maybe that would get in the way of just it being a simple groove, and I think that's one of the keys to this tune. You know, like something like that. You're never going to hear that in a song. You know, I mean, instrumental music, yeah, you'd hear that, especially like I mentioned before, like some funk and jazz fusion and jam band kind of stuff and everything, and that's cool. But, you know, I mean, I have mixed feelings about slap bass these days, and that I like to hear it done well. And you know, like, to me, a guy like Marcus Miller plays it with the utmost taste, you know. But I've heard guys wear it out, and to me, my ears lose interest pretty quickly when it's just all the technique and everything. It's impressive, but musically, I prefer something a little bit different these days. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's breakdown. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this to come. And thanks for watching.